Finally, Magic Movie Moment have brought you the explanation of the super hot and full of action movie Hobbs Shaw, acted by The Rock and Jason Statham. Many of you may have already seen this movie, but it doesn't matter. I have made this movie explanation with details in such a way that you will feel a new feeling after watching it. Even once you start watching, you won't be able to blink your eyes. We all know the story of every movie more or less, but the real point of the explanation is to make you excited. And I have tried to do that in this movie where The Rock and Jason Statham are accompanied by many other stars, including WWE's Roman Reigns. And when The Rock, Jason Statham, Idris Elba, Roman Reigns, and Ryan Rollins, all of them are in the same movie, then you can understand what level this movie can be. So without further ado, let's all subscribe to my channel and start today's exciting explanation. At the beginning of the movie, we see some agents of British MI6 who are basically here to rescue a dangerous virus. But at that very moment, a man comes to the MI6 agents. This man's name is Brixton. You can call this Brixton not a human but a human robot because he is so strong that he is not comparable to any human. You are going to see the story of how terrifying Brixton is a little later, but for now let's see why he came here. As soon as the MI6 agents saw Brixton, they aimed their gun at him, and then Brixton activates the lens of his eyes and starts calculating the details of the weapons in the hands of the MI6 agents. And in the blink of an eye, he starts killing the MI6 agents there and making a mess. Seeing this story, a girl named Hattie, one of the MI6 agents, quickly entered a covered van and immediately closed the door. But this time, Brixton went behind the van and started punching the door of the van. Hattie picked up a box from there and opened it and tried to take the virus from it. However, she realized that it was not possible to take this box from here in any way. So she put her hand in the needle and pressed it into the box of the virus. And those viruses started flowing through her hand and into her body. After that, she sat in the driver's seat of the van, put it into reverse gear, and tried to get out of there. But at that moment, Brixton pushed the entire van and turned it over. When the atmosphere calmed down a bit, Brixton went to the door of the van and he saw that Hattie was not in the van, and he even saw the virus box open there. Then he put his foot on the neck of one of the MI6 agent who was lying there and asked him, "Where did this girl from your team went with the virus?" At that time, more people from Brixton's team came here, and Brixton said it to them, "A girl has run away with the virus, so by all means go after the girl and recover the virus at any cost." While saying these words, we see that a motorcycle automatically stops near Brixton. Basically, this motorcycle is completely under Brixton's control. When the scene shifts in the movie, we see two people on the same screen. On one side is Hobbs, and on the other side is Shaw. Let's introduce you to these two guys first. Hobbs lives in America, who is a former agent of the American DSS security service. Although this Hobbs is physically strong, but he never uses intelligence in his work. You can say that he kills everyone with just his big body. On the other hand, Shaw is a former member of MI6 and British Special Forces. He is currently working as an undercover agent for the British Special Forces. Shaw currently lives in London. However, Shaw's physical strength is accompanied by a sharp mind, and this is why it is impossible for any ordinary person to deal with him. And the most interesting thing is that these two are bitter enemies of each other. I mean, no one can see each other in any way. But what happened between them that the two of them became each other's best friends, and the two of them embarked on a dangerous mission together? Let's find out those stories now. Here it is seen that both of them get a call at the same time. They were informed over the phone that a terrible virus has been stolen from London. And if this virus spreads across the world, it will cause havoc in the entire world. Since Hobbs is a powerful agent from America and Shaw is another deadly level agent from Britain, both of them are given the same task to recover this virus by any means. However, after receiving the mission one day, we see Hobbs, who goes to all the detectives in America and takes information. Then based on that information, Hobbs starts finding which are the people in the city involved in this and started catching them and starts smashing the nose and mouth of them one by one. On the other hand, we see in England that similarly, according to his agency, Shaw goes to nightclubs and grabs one by one and starts asking them violently, "Tell me which of your fathers steal this virus." But in fact, these people here do not know that this virus has been stolen, and they do not even know that such a dangerous virus exists in the world. So even after getting beaten badly, those people cannot give any information. And at that moment, Hobbs and Shaw understand that there is no benefit to just beating them. So they left those people there, and both of them leaves that place. After returning from there, Hobbs went to a restaurant with his daughter to have lunch. While he was sitting and eating with his daughter, an agent named Victor suddenly came there. And then Victor kept telling him this virus has been stolen from England. And this virus is still in England based on my secret information. So if you want to take this virus, you have to go to England now, and I will take care of your little girl here until you return. There, Victor gives him a file, and from this file, Hobbs learns that an MI6 agent named Hattie has injected this virus into her body. On the other hand, we see in England, Shaw has come to visit his mother in a prison. When Shaw tells his mother this story, his mother says to him, "Why don't you visit your sister? Your sister alone is enough to give you this little information." And here we inform you that this sister of Shaw is none other than Hattie, the MI6 agent girl, who injected the virus into her body, Shaw's own younger sister. When he gets out of prison, another MI6 officer named Jonah meets Shaw outside the prison. Jonah asks him, How much information did you get from your mother? Here Shaw tells him, I have tried a lot, but I have not yet found out where this virus is currently located. At that time, Jonah gets a call from that agent named Victor from America. Victor tells him, I am sending a tall, wide, and huge man to help you on this mission. When the movie scene shifts, we see that Hobbs and Shaw have finally met each other. Here the two of them are completely mad at each other because, as I told you before, these two guys are bitter enemies of each other, because of which the two of them keep shouting each other and telling them that they will not be able to work together in this mission. However, on one hand, Hobbs agrees to work with Shaw, but Shaw was not agreeing to work with Hobbs due to his ego, because of which Shaw leaves the place angrily. After getting into the job, Hobbs hacks every CCTV camera in the city, and while analyzing them, he suddenly sees a girl walking suspiciously in the street. As a result, Hobbs finds Hattie's location out of suspicion and comes to catch her. But when he tells her this story this time, Hattie hits Hobbs on the bald head with the helmet and kicking Hobbs on his balls. Hattie tries to escape from that place, however Hobbs controls himself and starts fighting with Hattie. Hattie was like a small ant to Hobbs, so Hobbs easily overpowers Hattie with his huge body and grabs her throat with one hand and wakes her up from the ground. Meanwhile, all this is going on. We see on the other hand that the man named Brixton is setting up all the terrible mechanisms in his whole body, because he is going to embark on a mission to rescue this virus. Hobbs catches Hattie and ties her hands and feet and asks, Tell me, how did you inject this virus into your body? At that moment, Hobbs' little daughter calls him while he was busy talking to his daughter. Hattie, on the other hand, freed her hand and started beating the agents there one by one, and when Hobbs saw that Hattie had freed her hand and by beating she has made all the agents inside down, so Hobbs went to Hattie and started to pin her hands and feet to the table. At that moment, Shaw came into the room. Shaw came and aimed his gun at Hobbs and told him to let go of his sister. Hobbs then said, Then it's good. Now I'll swallow properly, both brothers and sisters together. At that time, all the terrible force agencies broke the glass of that building and started coming inside, and among them, we see that terrible man named Brixton. Here he came and started attacking Hobbs and Shaw terribly without saying anything. Meanwhile, during the attack, more people from Brixton's team throw ropes from outside the building, and Brixton grabbed Shaw's sister Hattie and jumped off the building himself. Seeing this story, Hobbs himself jumped from the top of the building and caught another person. On the other hand, Shaw went to the elevator in that building and was going down with the elevator. I told you earlier that Hobbs was big in body, but he had no brains. However, after coming down on the one hand, Shaw started killing all the guards standing there and making a mess. On the other hand, Hobbs fall down from the building on the top of a car parked there. Shaw killed the guards there and took a rifle from their hands, and with that rifle he started firing wildly at that place. After killing everyone, Brixton came in front of him, and here Hobbs started telling him, Today I will teach you how to fight with Big Dog, saying this when he went to punch Brixton. Brixton activated the lens of his eyes and starts calculating the entire body of Hobbs, and Brixton instead starts beating Hobbs randomly. At this opportunity, Hattie freed her and tried to escape by killing the guard. Meanwhile, when Hobbs and Shaw realize that they will not be able to fight Brixton with their strength, so this time Shaw use all their intelligence and throw a bomb under the car, and there is a terrible blast. The car comes and falls over Brixton's body, and at this opportunity, the three of them start running away from there. However, when Hobbs was chasing Hattie at that moment, her brother Shaw comes with the car next to her, and Shaw points a gun at Hobbs and picks up his sister in the car. When Hobbs realizes that he will not be able to fight with Shaw this time, he says, Look, brother, if we fight Brixton together, then Brixton will not be able to fight with us. So Shaw also picks up Hobbs in his car and starts running away from that place. But in the meantime, it is seen that this time Brixton comes out on his own from under that car, and he keeps telling his people, I want that girl at any cost, when Shaw sees that 3 motorcycles are following them. This time, he increases the speed of his car. But there, a terrible racing begins between them as the two of them pass each other on the road. Suddenly, Shaw takes his car out through the middle of a huge truck. And here it is seen that Brixton comfortably takes his motorcycle out from under the 2 huge trucks, and seeing this story of Brixton Shaw increases the speed of his car even more. However, in the meantime, Brixton suddenly comes in front of Shaw's car from the other direction, but Brixton this time cannot control his bike and enters through a bus, and at this opportunity, Shaw is able to escape from that place with his car. And here we see that Brixton creates a big hole on that bus with his motorcycle. When Brixton got up from under the bus and saw that Shaw had run away with his sister, seeing this, he has become more furious. When they were returning from there with Hattie, the 3 of them saw a huge billboard in the middle of the road showing the faces of Hobbs and Shaw on the city news, saying these are the top wanted criminals who have stolen a terrible virus to destroy the whole world, because of which the big intelligence agencies of England are after them. Actually, Brixton did this because he understood very well that he would not be able to win against Hobbs and Shaw alone. At that time, Hobbs showed a picture of a man to them on his mobile phone and said this man was the first to create that virus. So if we can find this man, then we will definitely find some way to remove this virus from Hattie's body. One day while searching, Shaw has found that scientist and he brought him to their hideout. Now they say that to the scientist Professor Andrew to find a way to get this virus out of Hattie's body. Professor Andrew tells them that there are only 2 ways to get this virus out of her body. First of all, Hattie must be killed and burned at a temperature of 1000 degrees Celsius. As soon as Shaw heard this, he became extremely angry with Professor Andrew. I mean, there's no brother who would burn his own sister with his own hands. This is absolutely not possible. To normalize the environment, Hobbs came and said to the professor, "Tell me your second way." Professor Andrew said that this method is absolutely not possible, because there is only one device in the world through which it is possible to remove this virus from Hattie's body, and this device is in the Egan lab, which is currently located in Russia. And if you even think of entering that lab, then get this thought out of your head right now, because if you go at least 10 kilometers around this lab, all three of you will die very badly. Along with this, Professor Andrew told them something else, that this virus has been in her body for 30 hours, and if this virus is not removed from her body within 10 hours, Hattie will die automatically due to the attack of this virus. And as soon as Hattie dies, this virus will spread throughout the world through the air, due to which the people of this world will die along with her, and no living being will survive. That means now they only have 10 hours to remove this virus from Hattie's body. And if they want to remove that virus from Hattie's body, then they will have to go to the Russian Egan lab now. The three of them start planning how to reach Russia, and finally Shaw makes some fake passports for the three of them, and with that passport they finally try to pass through immigration at the airport. Here it is seen that Shaw and his sister Hattie easily pass through immigration and leave towards the plane. But disaster appears when poor Hobbs goes to the immigration officer at the airport. The immigration officer says, "Brother, where did you get this passport?" Actually, what happened here is that Shaw didn't want Hobbs to go with them on this mission, because of which he gave a cheap fake passport to Hobbs. But after a while, Hobbs surprised everyone by coming into the plane. Entering the plane, Hobbs said, "Look, brother, if you go to complete this mission without me, it will be a complete mistake for you, because I will not harm you anymore, but rather help both of you." Meanwhile, when they were flying to Russia in the plane, we see Brixton, who has come to Professor Andrew and asks him, "Where has Hattie gone with this virus now?" Here the professor tells Brixton to save his own life. Hattie has gone to Russia to extract this virus from her body in the Egan lab. When they reach Russia this time, Shaw takes them to the house of a lady gangster, and this lady gangster's name is Margarita. And here Hobbs and Hattie find out that this gangster girl named Margarita is none other than Shaw's girlfriend. Here it is seen that after Margarita learns everything about this incident, she gives them a map. And this is the map of the Egan lab. So they all now start planning together how they will enter in this lab. Along with this, Margarita shows them all the terrifying weapons that they have never seen before in their lives. After completing all the preparations, now they all set off for the lab together. Here it is seen that Margarita deliberately pretends to capture Hattie and hands her over to the Brixton security in the lab. Those security guards take Hattie inside, and on the other hand, we see Hobbs and Shaw trying to enter from the other side of the lab. They enter the lab through the tunnel and set time bombs at different places. Then they spread out in two directions and started killing all the security guards standing in front of the gate. Here a huge man stands in front of Hobbs with a hammer, but before the man can do anything to Hobbs, Hobbs punches the huge man unconscious. On the other hand, Shaw starts cutting each of them with the knife he has in his hand. He even takes away the electric sticks in their hands and uses them to calm them down with the same stick and knocks them down. Then he picks up a security guard who is lying down there and unlocks the door with his Irish. On the lab tomb there, they catch Hattie and tie her to a bed and try to remove the virus from her body. At that moment, Hattie takes the opportunity and knocks the two guards standing there unconscious, and then she freed her hand and started running away from there with the machine. Here we see that Professor Dr. Andrew. Hattie keeps telling him, "If you keep trying to stop me, I'll kill you too." Meanwhile, as soon as Hobbs and Shaw unlocked the door and opened it, they saw Brixton standing in front of them, and Brixton was surrounded by hundreds of security guards. So what else could they do? Before Hobbs and Shaw could do anything, Brixton's security guards hits both of them hard and chained them to the chair. Brixton came and tied them both to the electric chair and started giving them repeated shocks, and he kept saying, "You two join my team and take that virus out of Hattie's body and give it to me." At that moment, Hattie is seen killing all the guards inside and coming out with the machine. After that, an electric weapon there points at Brixton and starts firing at him. But here it is seen that the weapon in Hattie's hand is no longer working. Here we learn that all the equipment here, as well as all the weapons, only work at Brixton's command. When Hattie gets caught here at that time, Professor Andrew brings a fire gun and attacks Brixton, and using this opportunity, Hobbs and Shaw free themselves and start shooting all the guards standing there. After killing everyone, Shaw picks up his sister Hattie in a car and breaks the window of the building with that car and gets out. But at that time, a drone comes and starts firing at their car. However, Shaw is able to shoot down the drone after firing for a long time. More people from Brixton spread out and start attacking them. When Shaw sees that the people from Brixton are attacking them only to catch his sister Hattie. At that time, Hobbs comes next to Shaw's car with a huge lorry, and using this opportunity, Shaw started to pass his sister from his car to Hobbs's car. This time, when Brixton started to go towards Hattie and almost caught Hattie, Hattie managed to get into Hobbs's car before Brixton could catch her. And at that moment, the countdown of the time bomb planted by Shaw ended, and immediately the entire lab was destroyed, and the destruction kept falling at their car. Through this terrible destruction, finally Hobbs and Shaw managed to rescue Hattie from there. But here Brixton and his people were buried under this building. After coming out of this place, Hobbs told them that we should completely disappear from this city for now. Because on the one hand, the British MI6 agents are after us, and on the other hand, this bastard Brixton is not letting us live in peace. In the next scene, we see that Hobbs has brought the two of them to their village house. And this is Hobbs' village house, and all of Hobbs' younger brothers and sisters still live in this house. However, each of Hobbs' brothers and sisters is a great wrestler. After all these years, when one of his younger brothers saw Hobbs here in the house, he punched him, breaking his nose, and kept saying to Hobbs, "That fucker, you have come here to trap us after doing all the shits in other cities." However, when his younger brothers started fighting, Hobbs' mother came there. She came and started beating her chillers with her shoe and kept saying, "After all these years, my son has come home and you have started fighting with him." In fact, each of Hobbs' brothers was an extreme wrestler, and in his brothers' list we also see Roman Reigns. As soon as the atmosphere became a little normal, Hobbs started telling them all the stories that happened to them, and after hearing these stories, Hobbs' mother keeps telling all her sons, "You are all wrestlers. You should help your brother now." Meanwhile, this story continues. On the other hand, we see Brixton again injecting hundreds of terrible things into his spines. Then he promises himself, "Take it this time, there will be no more concessions." He will kill Hobbs and Shaw and take that virus out of Hattie's body no matter what. So he orders his men to get the helicopter ready. On the other hand, Hobbs and all his brothers are seen preparing for the final battle. He even brings car around his house and blocks the road with barricades. And behind their house, we see a huge factory where a huge force is making weapons. In another room, we see them bringing Hattie, and they try to remove the virus from Hattie's body with that device. When the needle of that machine enters Hattie's body, the machine starts at that moment, and it starts to capture the viruses from her blood and take them out into the machine. But the problem here is that this process will take a minimum of 30 minutes to complete. So now Hattie has to insert this machine into her body and wait for 30 minutes. But in the meantime, it is seen that Brixton and his people have arrived outside, leaving Hattie. Inside, Hobbs comes out with his brothers, and he says to Brixton, "If you want to live, then get your people out of this place." While Hobbs was saying these things, we see about a dozen of his wrestler brothers who are sitting around Hobbs ready to tear Brixton's people apart. But when Brixton wants to show his strength by showing off, this time all the big wrestlers from all around start grabbing and hitting the people of Brixton one by one here. Such a wrestling-like fight is shown. While watching it, you will feel that if you could have been in this fight, you would have had the real fun. Meanwhile, the fight continued. They set fire to the cars that they had prepared the day before, and they blocked the way into the house. Meanwhile, a fierce fight was going on. Some people entered from the other side of the house and suddenly grabbed Hattie, and when Shaw saw this story, he picked up a hammer from that place and started breaking the teeth of each person with that hammer. Seeing these stories, Brixton called his office and told him to send an Apache helicopter. Meanwhile, while such a commotion was going on at that very moment, 2 Apache helicopters came and started firing on them from above. After all this now, we see Hobbs and Roman Reigns roaring in their wrestling style and says to Brixton that "End all your men you have here." Then Hobbs jumps on Brixton's men again with his brothers, and there they start such a cotton-sweeping fight that it is difficult to tell who is beating whom and how. Meanwhile, when a terrible fight starts, Brixton takes advantage of this opportunity to grab Hattie from there and lift her up and start moving towards the helicopter. Shaw sees this story and he shouts loudly to Hobbs that Brixton is grabbing Hattie. Seeing this story, Hobbs stops fighting and kept telling Roman Reigns to go to the other way and cut these bastards, and I'm cutting this bastard. Then Hobbs and Shaw got into their car and started tying the helicopter with a huge thick chain on the car and started pulling the helicopter down towards themselves. But it was an Apache helicopter. It's no big deal for this helicopter to take down 10, 12 cars like this. In this way, they started tying the helicopter chains to the cars one by one and started pulling down that helicopter towards themselves. But that helicopter was so powerful that it took flying away 8 or 10 cars. Here, Hobbs' younger brothers started coming with many more cars, and in this way, they tied one car to another and started pulling the helicopter down towards the ground with the chain. But this time, the Apache helicopter started firing RPGs at all the cars below while they were trying to bring down the entire helicopter by chaining each other to their cars. Hattie attacked them at that very moment and took the gun from their hands and fired at them and threw them down from the helicopter. However, while Hattie was firing, a bullet suddenly hit the engine of the helicopter's cockpit, and that bullet even hit the rotor of the helicopter, due to which the helicopter started losing control, and instead of going up, it started coming down directly towards itself. When the helicopter lost its complete control, it started falling towards itself from the top of the mountain, and since the cars were chained to the helicopter, those cars started falling down with the helicopter. Finally, the helicopter fell to the ground and crashed there. When the atmosphere calmed down a bit, we saw that even after such a big helicopter accident, Brixton was getting out of the crashed helicopter safely, and as soon as he came out, he saw Hobbs and Shaw in front of him and started attacking them. But here the two of them were no match for Brixton. From where they were going to hit Brixton, calculated their bodies and started beating them both. Brixton started attacking them with heavy objects. Meanwhile, Hobbs and Shaw tried to defend themselves from Brixton just to save their lives. In this way, Brixton beat them both up, and seeing the story, Shaw started saying that we will not be able to win with this in any way. If we want to defeat him, we have to adopt a strategy. On the one hand, when I keep him busy, you will hit him from behind, and when you keep him busy, I will hit him from behind. And this time, their intelligence also came in handy. After fighting for a while, they were finally able to defeat Brixton a little. When Brixton falls to the ground while being beaten, this time Shaw picks up an electromagnetic gun lying there and activates that gun with the fingerprint of one of Brixton's security guards. The gun points at Brixton and says to him, "Tell me which of your fathers will come to save you this time." At that time, we see around Hobbs' house, the people in the area have learned that Hobbs' brother has been attacked, due to which the people of this entire village have surrounded Hobbs' house, and there all the security guards of Brixton realize that they are trapped here very badly, so they are forced to surrender in front of everyone to save their lives. On the other hand, in Brixton's main office, they also realize that their agent Brixton is trapped in a very bad situation, due to which the AI technology there decides that Brixton must be shut down immediately. And here we learn for the first time that Brixton was an ordinary person like everyone else before, but after some serious experiments with AI technology on Brixton, he became a superhuman, and Brixton has complete control over this AI technology. When artificial technology realizes that their agent Brixton has been caught, and because of Brixton all the plans of artificial intelligence may be leaked to the whole world, Brixton is shut down from that office. Brixton immediately starts falling from the top of that mountain. At that time, we see that by then the virus has entered the machine from Hattie's body. But at that time, the artificial intelligence from Brixton's office kept telling Hobbs this is not the end. "Hobbs, if we can create Brixton, we can create a superhuman even more terrifying than Brixton. So one day or another, I will definitely snatch this virus from you, and with this virus we will rule the whole world." Hobbs kept telling him, "If you have the courage, then send me a few more Brixtons like this." Saying this, they started returning home with Hattie. Meanwhile, at Hobbs' house, thousands of people were seen surrounding the entire house. And there Hobbs' mother came and said with a smiling face, "You guys are my real son who has never learned defeat in life." And this is where this movie ends. If you like the explanation of the movie, don't forget to subscribe. If Roman Reigns is your favorite athlete, then don't forget to comment. See you very soon with another new video. Until then, stay well, stay healthy, and thank you.